unless you're crushing wings watching football. But then it's, you're trying to network out here. You're trying to make.
I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to get better.
That's
You're
right.
either trying to get better immediately or better later. So, welcome back to Fans 12 Rings. Jeff, Brad, Damian Lillard's a buck.
Damian Lillard is a buck. If we're getting right into it, I put 7 takes instead of 6 in case we wanted to peep the NBA. So I'm glad I
Oh,
did.
dude, I knew we were talking Damian Lillard. I wrote it down here.
Yeah, we had to. Did you look at all the details?
Yeah, most of them. It looks like DeAndre Ayton goes to the Blazers. The Blazers get
Drew Holiday and
decent.
they get Drew Holiday and Ayton, and Jurkic and Grayson Allen go to the Suns. Obviously the Bucks get Dame. It was in 2029 the Trailblazers have their first round pick, the Bucks, and in 2028 and 2030 around it they get like unprotected pick swaps.
Yeah.
So in 7 to 10 years they'll have picks that they'll feel good about.
Yeah, no, I think Milwaukee killed the trade because they got to keep Middleton.
Yeah, and I see it a lot of posts that are like new big two in Milwaukee, and I was like, Chris Middleton just retire because that's a big three.
And
Chris
Brooke
Middleton's
Lopez
walking
is still
22.
pretty stinking good for them.
Yeah, and you talk about size defensively: Dame, Chris, Giannis, Bobby Portis, Brooke Lopez. In crunch time, if you run a pick and roll with Giannis and Dame, you have 3 guys who can spot shoot threes. 2 of them are 6'10 plus, and Lopez and Portis. So they're clearly a good team in the front 5. We'll see how the rotation works, but yeah, wow, good for us too. East Coast team. That's going to be really, really fun to watch. We're going to get to see Dame hopefully in the postseason. I don't see them missing the postseason.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think the Heat match up with them anymore because that's been like Milwaukee's kryptonite was the Heat. I don't think the Heat match up anymore. This is a pretty deep team, pretty talented team.
Yeah, I like them over the Celtics and the Heat. I think they're pretty much favorites in the East. No, I didn't say the 76ers because who cares?
Yeah, they don't even want their own star player right now, so they're a
Yeah,
mess.
they're a mess. Philly's been a mess. They were just exciting for a little bit.
I'll let you kind of take over and start takes. I wrote down 7. The Lillard was the other one. You did the exact same thing, but I'll let you start today.
Yeah, that's fine. Number 1, obviously everybody could not miss the 70-point performance by the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, was it a bigger takeaway for the Dolphins or the Broncos?
I have multiple takeaways. Can I just hit a couple of them?
Yes, yep, hit it away.
Okay. First off, my second take was 70 effing points.
Yep.
Unreal. Okay, that's take 1. Take 2. In modern day football, it's not often you're going to break a record from the 50s or 60s or 70s that maybe is geared to not be broken. Kick the field goal.
That was going to be my next question about it.
Kick the field goal, especially when you're giving the ball back. If they need it and that was the end of the game, totally get it. You gave the ball back to them, and what was it, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, whatever it was. You literally handed the other team the ball. Shout out Andrew Nutter. He coaches my son in soccer, and there has been a lot of teams, not to brag, but there's been a lot of times where his teams are just a night and day better than the other team. He coaches the kids really good and super respectable. He listens to the pod too, so big shout out to him. Friend of yours as well.
Yeah.
But the one thing he's always said is he's like, I'm never going to tell these kids that they're not allowed to compete anymore. I'll move the lineup around so that maybe there's kids in positions where they're not comfortable, so it kind of tests us a little bit. But I'm not going to call the dogs off as far as like, hey, you're not allowed to score. You cannot score anymore. Like, it's just, what are you building? This is the NFL, so it's different. But like, kick the damn field goal. Kick the damn field goal. Okay, so that's point 2. Point 3, as far as running the score up, the backup quarterback, Mike White, is throwing a 60-yard bomb to Chosen Anderson. Do you know who the corner was?
PS2.
Patrick Surtain.
They gave up.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You were broken. The Dolphins seen it. I'm okay with it. Truly, I'm okay with it. Okay. 4, how incredible is New England's defense?
It makes them look a lot better for sure.
No, it does. Yeah. I mean, I took
Absolutely.
that away too. And my last point. Before the season started, I said to you, I need to regress the Broncos. I don't like what they look like. I don't know what to think of them. Even I could not have predicted how bad this would be. An absolute dumpster fire. I don't even know. Like, I don't want to call them the worst team in the league because I think they're more talented than what the worst team in the league would be. They have too good of a coach. They have a Hall of Fame level quarterback. I'm not quite sure if he is over that hump, but he's right there. You can't possibly be this bad, but here we are. That's kind of all my takes.
Yeah, it's so tough when you look at this team and how much Sean Payton just came in and, dunked all over the last coaching staff. We're going to do all these changes. And we talk about how the Broncos maybe would have made the playoffs if they just scored more than 20 points every game. And you give up 70. Like, that's just crazy. Like, it just seems like the two teams that look the worst have the most problems. Their quarterbacks seem broken. The teams are giving up. Both play this next Sunday. The Broncos and Bears play. And it just seems like two teams where every player goes to their facility and wishes they were somewhere else. Like, there's just, like you said, I mean, Patrick Surtain, I still have no problem saying he's one of the top 5 corners in the league. For my money going into the season, he was number 1. Robbie Chosen didn't just burn him while he's trying. They just gave up. It's just it was crazy. I agree with just about all your points though, and yeah, I cannot stand these posts from SportsCenter that say "classy move" with the high five emoji. Mike didn't kick the field goal. It's the NFL. Do you know? I bet you it's not going to be a problem because they're 3-0. They do what they did. That hurt the locker room. I think it hurt the locker room a little bit.
Apparently, he talked with the captains first before making the decision. It was not his call. He apparently asked the captains their opinion.
That's helpful then because they had a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, 72 is the all-time record.
Yeah.
They could have got 73. So, but yeah, team kicked the field goal for sure.
One more thing. Do you happen to know who is leading the NFL in passing yards this season?
Tua.
Kirk. It's Tua. Second. Kirk Cousins is number 1. Do you know who's number 1 in passing touchdowns?
That's also Kirk?
It is. Do you know how many points they've scored this year?
The Vikings?
3 games. Yep. 3 games.
Let's call it 98.
69.
No way.
The Dolphins in a single game scored more points than what the passing yard leaders team has done in 3 games.
I knew that the Dolphins have 130 on the season now after
insane.
See, I knew the stat that people were like roasting the Broncos for that. They were like because the Broncos have scored 69 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like the Dolphins have scored more points against the Broncos than they have all season. I didn't realize that the Vikings also only had 69 and were 0-3. That's tough.
Which I thought was funny because I knew that Kirk was the passing yard leader, passing touchdown leader. He's the number 1 fantasy player this year too, as well. By the way,
yeah. T.J. Hawkinson is leading the tight ends in receiving yards.
Yeah,
yeah. The Vikings are minus 13, and they're 0-3. Like that's tough. Point differential, 69 to 82.
Insane. I'll move on to take 2. I also had obviously the Jets. Death, taxes, and beating the Jets. That's what we do.
Oh, okay.
Death, taxes, and beating the Jets.
Gotcha.
It's literally what the Patriots do. This isn't really like a throw it over to you. I'm just gonna vent quickly. I'm sick of beating bad teams. I want to beat good teams. I said this last week too. I basically told you after we lost to the Dolphins that it's like I just want to beat a good team because I know we'll beat the Jets next week, and we did. We beat the Jets, and it didn't look pretty. That's what's even more sad. We almost lost on a Hail Mary. So it's like you win 15-10, and our defense is truly like elite. But it's like, man, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
It's become kind of a theme for the Patriots, and it's even worse because like you beat the bad teams, and whether it's coaching or less penalties, you win close games, and then you play the great teams. You played the Eagles and the Dolphins, 2 of the 3-0 teams, and you played them to within 7 and 5 points.
Yeah, we never get blown out. I think we've been blown out literally since Tom left. We've only been blown out like 3 times.
And I think most of them were by the Bills. There was that one year they beat you by like 30 twice or something like that. So
yeah,
it's just it's got to suck for the Patriots. Yeah, and was your game the one? No, it was the Texans where that fullback ran it in for like the kick return.
That was Texans.
Yeah, red, white, and blue. You know, it all gets messed up.
Yeah, I get it.
We'll stick with the Patriots here for another one of my topics. I would like your opinion on the Mac Jones sack tap.
I knew that was coming.
It had to. I had to bring that up.
Yeah,
So Big thought it was his hand, wanted to shake his hand.
I kind of have 2 points. The first point is I didn't see anything on the video. I have yet to see an angle where Mac Jones grabs this dude in the junk like he says he is. And it's happening directly after CJ Mosley basically mugs him to the ground. So, like, I could see why Mac would be frustrated. So maybe I'm not giving him any excuse to sack tap him. But the second part of this is what one of my all-time favorite players, Devin McCourty, said. He goes, I love Mac Jones. I played with Mac Jones. I think Mac's an incredible guy. And I think he's a great leader, and I do not think he's a dirty player. But at some point, if there's enough evidence, you can no longer defend it. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Because in the video, he sack tapped him. Definitely.
Yeah. Let me use an analogy in just everyday life. If you told me, Brad, that you did not have a problem being late to work, like your alarm clock works, you're like, I'm good, dude. Trust me. But once a week you're late to work. What else could it be? Brad, you have a problem being late to work, buddy.
I think Mac Jones is the NFL version of Grayson Allen. Once a season or every couple games when you think they're just doing fine, they just remind you that they do like these little dumb, if I'm on the ground, I'll grab you an extra minute or I'll hit you there. Or maybe I can sneak this in. It's like, dude, like, why? Like, all you have to do is not do something like that. So
I will say this, and this is Mac's fault. I'm not defending Mac. This is Mac's fault, but it's kind of sound like I'm defending him. Mac has enough bad plays against him that if he didn't touch Sauce, people still think he did. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
because at this point, it's like, yeah, you're a repeat offender. Yeah. So if somebody says you did something, of course everyone's going to think that's true.
Yeah, whether it's a family member at work, everyone knows someone who just lies all the time. And it's like, you just can't. The boy who cried wolf. Everybody knows that.
Like, at this point, I can't believe you. I'm not sure if you did it or not, but I can't believe you. So, yeah, that's where I'm at on that. I've heard, Colin say this a few times, and Colin's kind of like a Mac defender in a way. But, I mean, I don't think Mac Jones is a long-term Patriot. Do I think he has a place in this league? I do. Because I think he is an NFL quarterback. I do believe that. I just don't know that he'll be in New England unless it's on a massive discount. If he's that quarterback that literally signs a 4-year, $100 million that we've been talking about somebody finally doing. But outside of that, I don't know. This relationship feels like it's slowly dying.
Yeah.
0-3 teams. Wanted to talk those with you.
Sure.
First off, shout out you. You said the Chargers beating the Vikings. Close game, but Chargers beat the Vikings. Vikings dropped to 0-3. Broncos, who we kind of talked about a second ago. The Bears, who are in the Vikings division. Okay. The Panthers, who are starting a rookie quarterback the first 2 weeks. He gets hurt. Start Andy Dalton week 3. So we got Panthers, Bears, Vikings, and Broncos. Those are your 0-3 teams. Mm-hmm. First off, how shocked are you that none of the names that I gave you are the Cardinals and Colts?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Considering the Cardinals only win is the Cowboys. It's kind of shocking. I thought for sure we'd have 0-3 teams. Rams pounced down a divisional opponent in ones, but like the Cardinals one seems weird. Only 2 teams have allowed over 100 points. The Broncos have allowed 122 points through 3 games, and the Bears have allowed 106. So those are the 2 teams that are just awful. The Panthers, you can kind of say we knew they didn't have weapons on offense. Frank Reich's not a good head coach. We've established that, I think.
I agree. I agree.
Rookie quarterback with limited weapons, and then Shaq Thompson, you lose him in your front 7. J.C. Horn goes on IR in your defense, so your defense can't really win you the games. So it really comes down to, I think, the Vikings. I did have them at 7-10. I didn't know if I fully anticipated 0-3 through each game after what I saw. I mean, I predicted their 3rd loss, sure, but I mean, it would have been them or the Chargers at 0-3, and that's, I didn't see either of those coming. But I mean, 0-3 would state that you have a 2.5% chance to make the postseason. The Vikings and Bears are playing in division with the Lions and Packers, who both seem good. The Panthers, the rest of their division is over 500, all 2-1. And with the Broncos, you just lost to the Chargers. You've already lost to the Raiders. Can't imagine you're going to beat the Chiefs in 2 and 5 weeks, or 3 and 5 weeks from now, or whenever they play. So all these teams are dead. We may talk about them for storylines, recapping games. Maybe the Vikings can somehow go on a run. They would have to beat the Packers and Lions in their next games that they play them.
Do you have their schedule in front of you by chance?
Yeah, I have it up.
Yeah, what's like their next 5? Can we just talk about like their next month of football?
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay, so they're at the Panthers this weekend.
That feels like a win.
I think so too. So
2-0-3 teams. Somebody has to win. That feels like the Vikings to me.
Let's call them 1-3.
Okay.
They then host the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's a loss.
So 1-4. Then they're at the Bears.
I just haven't seen enough from the Bears offensively that tells me they're going to get it going, and at least the Vikings can score a little bit.
Yeah.
Give me the Vikings.
2-4. They then host the 49ers.
Oh, my Lord.
2-5. They're then at the Packers.
That's a season on the line. That's season on the line.
I'm just going to go 2 more. After at Packers, they're then at the Falcons, and then they host the Saints.
Tough out. Holy hell.
Later on in their schedules, they have a back-to-back Broncos, Bears, Raiders. That's 3-game stretch. Then their last 4, I'm not going to do home and away, but their last 4, Bengals, Lions, Packers, Lions.
This is looking like a 5-win team, man.
I think this is looking like in a few weeks, one of our takes or topics are, does Kirk Cousins go after the season or in the middle? Does someone trade for him, try and learn a new system and push him over the top? Is there another QB that gets injured, 1-year rental, team that maybe will get him and pay for him, a young team, whatever? Or does he finish it out as a Viking? But also, I know they can franchise tag him, but Justin Jefferson is not signed on a long-term deal. If their defense is this bad and the Lions and Packers are looking this good and they get rid of Kirk and bring in some rook, they may be out Justin Jefferson as well. They could clean house. They've already lost Dalvin Cook. What do they do? Harrison Smith, Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins. How much could you get for that and try and rebuild? I don't know. But yeah, all the 0-3 teams, I think they're dead because the Vikings may have had a shot, but they're playing a 1-seed schedule.
The weird thing about what you just said, it was referred to Justin Jefferson's contract. The thing is like, I think with these long-term deals, things get a little confusing here.
Did Jefferson sign a deal?
It's not that. He's under rookie contract, which is a 5-year deal because they're going to pick up the 5th-year option. He's only in year 3. They still have next year and the 5th-year option. So literally, this is okay. I'm sorry, I misspoke. So he has 2020 was his rookie year. 2021 was year 2. 2022 was year 3. This is year 4. They've already picked up his 5th year, which is next year. So they have him next year on the books for, you ready for this? $19 million, which is not chump change by any means. That's almost not top of the market money, but
Yeah,
that's
and then
really
they'd
good
have
money.
to franchise tag him if they want him another year.
Then they'd have to franchise. So they do have him, but it's really weird because like what you said, there's a lot of people that are in that like narrative where it's like, well, they haven't offered him a deal yet. Well, it's like, it's not like he's leaving tomorrow. Like it's just weird because you can technically still franchise him. You have the 5th year. All these people will be getting deals after year 3 or almost year 4. It's like wild.
Yeah.
Where are we talking? Oh, Vikings. Before the season, neither of us thought they were a Caleb Williams sweepstakes team. Are they today?
So I would say no, because I don't think they're going to get the first pick. Between the Bears, the Broncos, the Panthers, I just don't think they'll end up being as bad as those teams. But they could have the 3rd or 4th pick. And whoever has the first pick, Justin Jefferson could get you Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
If the Panthers believe in Bryce Young and they trade for a I mean, I don't know what all could happen. I think they would want Caleb Williams, but when you have Drake May and Michael Penix, I think they're definitely in a quarterback sweepstakes for sure. But again, I just don't know. Like even the Giants at 1-2 with how tough their schedule is, or the Rams and Cardinals still only have 1 win. The Vikings could find themselves at 6-11 at the end of this season, sitting at pick 7. It's not going to be an ideal spot, but who knows?
I think it's you now.
Okay. I'll do two in the same here. I have one that says, do we believe in the Colts and Shane Steichen? And another one that says, are the Jaguars dead? Obviously, they're not dead, but like.
Yeah. Look, can I start with the Jags?
You can start with either one. I just kind of knocked out 2 because they're both in the same division.
The Jaguars are not dead, but my view on them has completely changed. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. They're 1-0 on the road, 0-2 at home.
Yeah, I think that this is. You brought this up. This is why you actually, if I remember correctly, you actually regressed wins on them, correct?
Yeah, I think I took them just from 11 to 10, though. I think I still had them at 10.
Their defense is not good.
And I knew their defense was not good, but I didn't think they would lose to the Texans. Like, I thought they would outscore teams, and their offense has kind of been struggling.
I'd make enough digs that I feel like sometimes I need to put somebody over. CJ Stroud looks like a pretty good NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
He looks really good. He's pretty poised, pocket passer. He wasn't much of a runner in college, so he's not looking to kind of move around and run around. He's looking for the pass and reading defenses. He looks pretty good. So I'm not going to destroy the Jags for losing to a Texans team that I actually thought would win 5 or 6 this year. So it's like, but the Jags, on the other hand, I'm sorry, but like, you have Trevor Lawrence. You have that next guy that we kind of view in that top 5, top 6, 7 bare minimum range that should be top quarter of the league. I'm sorry, but you should be moving the needle. I don't know much more I have on the Jags except for the fact that they have good receivers, but they've drafted a bunch of pass rushers and they just don't have a pass rush.
Yeah, I do want to say that the Jaguars may have, not letting them off the hook, but they may have let the Chiefs beat them 2 weeks in a row. They may have lost to the Chiefs and been so bummed that their last 2 losses were to the Chiefs.
That's
and it
carried on the table.
Carried into a
Texans
team who kind of took care of business. Just a little tidbit on CJ Stroud. The Ravens week 1 got a bunch of injuries. Stroud didn't turn it over, but only 9 points. They played the Colts defense, which we think is okay, but nothing special. And then they played a bad Jags defense and really popped off. And CJ Stroud's on top of the world.
Yeah.
His next 3 games are Steelers, Falcons, Saints. So much better defenses.
Yeah,
So
much better defensive.
he could prove to be the guy that it's looked like through 3 weeks, or we could be looking at it week 7 being like, okay, Stroud's had 2 touchdowns and 3 picks in his last 3 games. He's still a rookie. We'll see how all that goes. But
Let's
yeah,
talk Colts.
huh?
Let's talk Colts too. I don't want.
Yeah, and I was just moving over to the Colts. You know, Shane Steichen seems to be offensively, pretty clever. I mean, the Colts, Anthony Richardson has 3 touchdowns in 2 games. And then, you know, now that move of bringing Gardner Minshew over with him from the Eagles looks smart. He knew he did enough. 5 field goals. I mean, shout out Matt Gay, I believe, was the kicker. Unbelievable performance. And it was a tough takeaway because I would almost look at this like, does it kind of hurt my Ravens stock or does it raise my Colts or a little bit of both? But it was in Baltimore, which really surprised me. But the Colts defense does have DeForest Buckner up front. Shaq Leonard is back. They've got some decent pieces on the back end. You know, I forget their defensive coordinator's name. I think it's
I don't
something.
know who it is.
I think it's something Bradley. But anyway, he's
Gus Bradley's there.
Yeah, I think that's who it is. Yeah, so he's done a pretty good job. So, but the Colts' next 2 games are at home versus the Rams and Titans. I think those are winnable.
Yeah, I think the Colts are not good, but they have a lot of things to like. Like going into the season, you know, we thought they'd be a 1-3 win team. That may still be the case, but I think their wins are going to come in ways that you just didn't expect. They look well coached. Like there's yet to be a time where it's like, oh, this is a coaching mismatch. No, they look well coached. Offensively, they're schemed up. Anthony Richardson looks like he works instantly, which I did not think would be the case. There's things to like, and you'd imagine that adding Jonathan Taylor to this team makes them quite a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, they went from Frank Reich to Jeff Saturday last season.
Yeah.
Players don't buy in. I mean, that O-line looks to be playing like they could, led by Quentin Nelson. Michael Pittman, he's not a 4-quarter receiver, but there's about 3 times a game where he looks like the real deal, has, you know, that jump ball catch against the Ravens, or he, you know, has a nice touchdown. Yeah, I just think the Colts have been doing pretty good. Their rookie, Josh Downs, I think his name is, out of North Carolina. He's played pretty well. The Colts have scored 74 points and allowed 70. They just look like a team that's cut down on penalties. Like you said, they're well coached, and they're pretty physical at both sides of the trenches. So they're never going to be an easy out, but I don't see the Colts winning by 14 plus in any game that they're in this year. But I just say in their next 3, Rams, Titans, Jaguars. So, I mean, they have 3 winnable games coming up, and who knows? Maybe the Colts will be competing for hosting a playoff game in Lucas Oil. Who knows?
We kind of already talked about this in a variety of different ways, so I'm going to kind of rephrase it. So the Jets. They're overly talked about at this point, and I'm not sure that we have a ton to add. But I'm just curious as to your opinions on whether or not they're doing a soft tank. Like the fact that they don't have another quarterback brought in, the fact that they're just running with Zach Wilson. Don't even tell me Trevor Siemian's the guy. What's your opinions here? Because like they're not good. Theirs is not a good football team.
I think that they have a delusional head coach. Head coach who says, you know, I'm going to coach my guys tough. My defense, which is his side of the ball, is great. So I can just will this team to win. But he has Jeff Johnson at quarterback. He has Brad Eppert at quarterback. Like, what is Zach Wilson doing that I couldn't do on a football field?
Yeah.
And, you know, I listened to a little bit of other podcasts, and Nick Wright was saying stuff kind of about him, you know, just hiring Aaron Rodgers' friends. And I do want to put it out there. I got to repeat the Tim Boyle stat. Tim Boyle was their backup quarterback.
Do you have the stats in front of you?
In here. So Tim Boyle was the backup quarterback, or the 3rd string behind Zach. They never thought they'd have to use him. And he's one of the guys who went on the ayahuasca trip with Aaron Rodgers. He's just one of his friends. So Tim Boyle played 3 years of college football, and it was all Division I. And in 3 years, he threw 1 touchdown and 13 interceptions. He somehow made it into the NFL, and he's been in the NFL for 6 seasons. I believe he's played in 6 games, and he's thrown 108 passes. 8 of them have been intercepted. He's on the Jets roster making more money than either of us. And that's just bonkers to me. So, like Nick said, it would be like using up most of your money to buy a private jet that was run down, but you buy a private jet, you try and fix it up, soup it up, spend all the interior, make it nice, and you have $10,000 left over. And your friend says, hey, should we buy a couple parachutes in case this thing doesn't work out? And he says, no, buy champagne. Well, both engines have gone out, and they're the same jets they were last year, just with more spite from their fans. And now it's boiling over. The locker room is not happy that the coach is showing belief in Zach Wilson. You got Fireman Ed and Joe Namath on social media making their way onto ESPN, just hating the Jets. And it was like they pushed, if any of our listeners have played poker, you pushed every chip into the table that you were going to hit a third ace with your pocket aces. And then you just threw 1 card off the table. You only have 1 ace now. And you got to hope for 2 to come up on the table. It's just like they're
Wild.
playing, man. Like there's nothing. They got nothing. The Jets are not doing a soft tank. Their coach is just delusional. They have Trevor Siemian and Zach Wilson on the roster. Their defense is so good. Their defense is very good. But they're just a bad football team. I don't think they're tanking. And who knows? They may be in the sweepstakes for one of these quarterbacks. I mean, you want to just do a quick little. They play the Chiefs, Eagles.
Is this the Jets?
This is not in a row, but yeah, some of the teams they play: Chiefs, Eagles. Giants if you want. Chargers, Bills, Dolphins, Falcons, Texans. Dolphins, Commanders, Browns, Patriots. Like they play a lot of really good defenses and or offenses and or teams that aren't as bad as they are. So yeah, it's going to be tough sledding here for the Jets.
It's tough.
It's
real tough.
You got anything to add? I kind of just pooped on them.
No, it's exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Take away your next one.
49ers, Steelers, Browns, Cowboys, other. Who do you think's just the best defense in the league? Who you got? You need to stop. The other team's got the ball. Touchback. They're on their own 25. What defense you want?
This is no bias right
Patriots
now.
As well as it. Like I said, other. Like I didn't want to write them.
What New England has done? I thought it was the Cowboys. And
Trayvon Diggs did hurt.
Holy shit! Did that hurt? Did we get to talk about that?
We haven't.
That injury happened. I think that injury happened either right after we were done recording or.
We record on Wednesdays. I believe it happened Thursday at practice. So it happened the next day.
Literally devastating. They still have Stephon Gilmore. This isn't 2018 Stephon Gilmore. He was a great 2 for them. This is tough.
Yeah, because Stephon Gilmore could park it on his side of the field, get a safety over the top, and Trayvon Diggs can man up on anyone. He does get beat sometimes, but he gives the ball back to the offense plenty of times too. Mm-hmm. His speed on the back end and his know-how and all the turnovers he was creating really let that defense cut loose a lot. He was a big part of that, and they lost him, and they were without Tyron Smith and Zach Martin as well when we talk about the Cowboys in Arizona, which maybe it's on one of your takes. But, yeah, man, everyone likes to shit on him because you see those stats. Yeah, he had 8 picks, but he allowed 1,200 yards, and it was like 8 picks not only gives your not great offense, in my opinion, a short field, but it also ignites the crowd, ignites the team. Let's count. If you could go back and look at Trayvon Diggs' 8 picks, how did the next 3 possessions go for the offense or just in the game? Like, you can flip a game with that kind of stuff. Even at a strip, he allowed a catch, caught up, boom, ripped the football out. Those yards are going to be on the sheet, but gave the Cowboys the ball. He's just a tremendous player. He's a Pro Bowl corner. They're not everywhere.
So, who do you think has the best passing defense in the league right now through 3 games.
Oh, man. Well, through 3 games, I mean, they've played some bad teams. I'll go 49ers.
It's not the 49ers.
You
I'll give you a hint.
Is it based on yards?
It's based that's how passing defense would be rated. This team has given up 335 yards. It's the best in the league, 1 touchdown, and they've taken the ball away 1 time. But if you want to say who leads the league in picks, if that's how you want to judge it, I could see that. So let me just ask you this. What's better? 48% completion, 335, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, or 65% completion, 427 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 picks. Like, what would you rather have, I guess?
I'd rather have the picks, but I think the yards is the Browns.
It is the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns actually, it's a record since 1970. Through 3 games, they've allowed 490 total yards of offense, and they've only faced 4 snaps in their own red zone.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really
They've
good.
only defended 4 snaps in the red zone and have only allowed 490 yards.
Yeah, so I was trying to make the case for New England. They were 4th in passing defense, and they're roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th in rush defense, averaging 3.6 yards a carry. They've been really good. First off, they have an elite pass rusher. He's not a top 5, but he's like 6 or 7.
Injury scare too, man. That was scary.
Yeah,
he went down a hole in that knee. Whew.
There's TJ, Miles, Micah, Nick,
Max Crosby,
and then I got Judon. I think he's right there.
He's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. We also have, don't know how this happened. We got the best corner from the draft. Absolute boss. Okay. He's locked up a number 1 receiver the last 3 weeks. Week 1, he had to go against A.J. Brown. Week 2, Tyreek Hill. Week 3, Garrett Wilson. Locked all of them up. All of them, even Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Belichick coaches his secondary tremendously too. All the corners that he has seem to play well.
So New England's defense is great, but in a non-bias, Steelers take it away more. Browns have been more efficient. Bills have been super aggressive. It's really what you like, I guess. They're 3 weeks in. There's a hell of a good defense. Honestly, I'm not really like, oh my God, the Niners right now. They're good, but there's been other teams that I think have been doing it a little bit better.
Yeah, okay. It's just a fun question. There's a lot of good defenses this year so far.
Yeah. So I think this is a topic of conversation that will start coming up, and I was just kind of wondering your opinion on it. So Joe Burrow got a deal. Herbert got a deal. Jalen Hurts got a deal. Okay. Lamar Jackson got a deal. Tua just dropped 70. He's had concussion issues. Obviously, there was a scare on the field last year. Where are you at on where he belongs? How would you pay him if you're the Dolphins? What do you even do here?
Sometimes it's funny because I can tell or you can tell when we've heard the same podcast, and it's a good topic. It really does come down to Tua. I think on the player side, he's a Dolphins. He loves the Dolphins. He loves Mike McDaniel, and he has total trust in those guys that it'll get done when it gets done. But there's the business side that, if he gets hurt again, maybe it doesn't get done. Or, could Tua go the route of saying, hey, we just dropped 70, we're 3-0, we got the Bills coming up this weekend. I'm not playing unless I get an extension or some guaranteed money. Maybe they call the bluff, or maybe he can say, give me some sort of security. I don't need a new 4-year deal, but the remaining contract that I have, let's pump these numbers up. Let's give me 35 guaranteed with the possibility of 43 the next year. And in the offseason, we can work off something. But it would be nice because when he's played the last 2 seasons, they don't lose. They just, what are they, like 12-1 or something in the last games that Tua started with Mike McDaniel?
Something wild.
It's one loss. And I mean, You can say it's Mike McDaniel because they almost beat the Bills with Skylar Thompson in the postseason. Don't give me that. When Tua's on the field, he's so smart. His reads are so quick. He knows how to throw it. I think there's even something to the fact that, like you just mentioned, all those quarterbacks. If I'm wrong, is there another left-handed starting quarterback in the league? On any team?
I don't think so.
It just looks different from a standpoint, like just reading the quarterback. It's just it throws a little bit different in there. That's kind of crazy. I just thought of that off the top of my head. He might be the only starting left-handed quarterback in the league. And you're looking it up. I don't want to run through it, but I'm just saying if I'm the
Tua is the only one currently in the league.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Little nugget. But so it just looks different, and his accuracy is so good. If I'm the Dolphins, not only am I waiting for Tua, I think I'm pushing with his agent to get it done behind the scenes. You don't have to go directly to Tua. Tua can talk to his agent. You don't want to take too much of his mind off football. But I would really like to see Tua get an extension because he was in the same draft class as those guys, and he's accomplished more. Like I think he's he's done just as well as those guys, and when he's playing, he gets wins. So it'd be tough. I would want to pay him. I would want to pay him.
The weird thing is I'm almost positive he's missed less games than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had to miss the entire almost half the season with that ACL.
Yeah,
I think Tua's played more career games, if I'm not mistaken.
It would probably be close.
Obviously, Joe Burrow now is, he's gone to a Super Bowl and he's kind of asserted himself as being able to go head to head with Mahomes. But here in a couple of weeks, we're going to see these two go head to head. Mahomes and Tua in Germany. And where does that kind of land? If the Dolphins destroy Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, holy hell. We have to have a conversation on our hands.
Yeah.
My last topic, going back to not a different sport, different category here. Colorado. You talked about a lot. Figured we'd bring them up briefly here. They kind of get ran out the gym at Oregon. I was kind of like, I still am, Team Colorado in a sense of like, I think it's fun. I think it's a cool story. I do think it is great timing. Timing is so important. So they come in to the Pac-12 this year. Deion comes in. He brings in I forget the number. It's like 65 transfer kids, right?
91.
It's a lot. His boys come over. The number one player in the country, Travis Hunter, comes over. They bring in some transfer wide receivers that are like studs from other places. And this team can flat out score. That's what they can do, right? Well, the Pac-12 is literally going away. They're going to the Big 12 next year. And who leaves the Big 12? Texas and Oklahoma. Colorado's kind of getting their feet wet. They could literally win the Big 12 next year and be in the playoffs. I regress. Where are you at on Colorado? Do you like this? Do you hate it? Do you have an opinion? I feel like you have to sit on one side of the fence or the other.
Yeah, I've enjoyed everything about it. I think they got a little carried away with trying to talk so much shit to Oregon without Travis Hunter. Like, that was kind of weird. Oregon's been recruiting at a high level. With that being said, I still thought Colorado would be able to score, but they really showed a difference in where Colorado's at the line of scrimmage. Both on offense and defense, they're outgunned. Secondary, running back, receivers, quarterback, they can play with everyone. And Deion's always said he builds his team from the outside in. I don't know if they'll find a group of guys that get together and maybe in the offseason you see 3 4-star linemen who know each other all decide to go to Colorado together. Or something like that. I don't know if you'll find the 1s and 2s. But clearly there was just a difference with the big boys up front. It's why I think they'll have a little bit more success against USC. USC is kind of built the same way, but just I think better. I still think USC is going to beat them. But when you talk about like Oregon or like Utah Ohio State, Michigan, like the teams at the top and all that, Texas, like they're just too big up front. They just get manhandled. Shedeur Sanders running for his life. I think he was sacked. Like I think he's still been sacked the most of any quarterback in college football. So they're fun. They're a good story. I think they're good for college football. Whether you hate them or love them, they force you to have an opinion. They've kind of been thrown down our throats. So maybe it's a little too much and maybe it'll die out. But for non-conference play, when there was a lot of blowouts and this and that, Colorado was really fun. They got beat by Oregon. Conference play is really kicking off, and I think Notre Dame will kind of die down. They're playing USC, and it's at noon. Like it's just kind of hidden there. So,
that's actually supposed to be like a primetime spot. They got moved to noon on purpose.
Yeah, I guess they did because I think Michigan and I know Michigan and Texas play at 3:30. Notre Dame versus Duke is the 7:30 game. There's a couple good games that start at like 6 o'clock. LSU's on later.
Yeah.
I think Bama, Mississippi State's on later. They will be one of the biggest noon game, but
yeah,
I don't know. Caleb Williams and Shedeur Sanders, that'll make for a nice little face-off. But yeah, Colorado could win the Big 12 next year. Division conferences are going to look a lot different if they can get some old linemen in there. Shoot, sky's the limit.
Any other takes?
Last one. I just wanted to know, as of right now, through 3 weeks, real early, but who's your most shocking division leader? Is it the Dolphins? Probably not.
No.
It's not the Chiefs. It's not the Eagles. It's not the Niners. So I'll leave these four. Steelers, Packers, Colts, Falcons.
Two of them. I didn't buy the Packers like you.
Okay.
And I didn't expect the Browns to be better than they are. I didn't expect the Bengals to be this bad, and the Ravens are kind of right there. So the Steelers being on top of that division is kind of crazy to me. Falcons at one point I thought were going to win the division, so that's not crazy to me. Yeah, I think those are the two. I'm still not. I'm not buying stock on the Packers.
Just going back. Well, go ahead. Keep going. No, keep going.
No, that's it for the Packers. I'm not there yet. And also, I'm not ready to sell my Vikings stock. I think they're. Hear me out. Lions went 1-6 last year to start the year.
Yeah.
They almost made the playoffs. So let's pump the brakes just a hair.
Okay. What about the Colts though? Is it because the AFC South is kind of open, or
that division means nothing to me through 3 weeks? They're all bad right now.
There's only
I can't even justify anything.
The Titans are 1-0 at home. The Jags are 0-2. Texans 0-1. Colts 0-1.
Yeah, it's
it's just so funny that they've lost so many games at home, but
yeah.
The Colts, Texans, and Jags combined are 4-1 on the road. It's a little interest. It's goofy.
Yeah. Are we ready for power rankings?
I thought we would be, but I feel like maybe some listeners would be like, you guys really aren't going to talk about the Cowboys' loss to the Cardinals?
So here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to over-exaggerate this. The Cowboys had a catastrophic injury to an all-pro type player before the season or before the game, and they were out Zach Martin, Tyron Smith. There was a lot there. It was a road game. I don't know. I'm not going to destroy them. I also am not so certain the Cardinals are horrendous, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Do I think they're a pro playoff team? No, I just don't think they're. I don't think they're horrible. They've been in every game this year. Now, mind you, they haven't played anybody with a pulse outside of Cowboys, but they had been in every game. Go ahead. I unload on them.
No, I'm not. I kind of agree with what you're saying. They had a lot of injuries. I still think they should have won the game, but it's an out of division road spot. They go in there, and I mean, before you could even see anything on your TV, they're already down 14 points. They kind of just got jumped on. And I mean, after being down 14, they won the game after that point. I mean, they outscored them 16-14. If you look at the stats, the leading passer was for the Cowboys, the leading rusher in the game was for the Cowboys, and the leading receiver of the game was for the Cowboys. It was just some unfortunate stuff, a pick in the red zone here or there by Dak. You know, he had a bad game, couple turnovers, but I still think the Cowboys are one of the more elite teams in the league. I think this is a down spot. Like you said, the Cardinals are fighting hard for their new coach. Josh Dobbs is trying to buy his little bit of fame right now. You see him all over social media. I'd pump the brakes there, Josh Dobbs. But, yeah, I think the Cowboys can bounce back, but you know, they lose, and then they got the Patriots coming into town, which is another team that really doesn't get blown out. You're not going to just be able to run all over them. So I just wonder if the Patriots somehow upset the Cowboys, or if the Cowboys like have to win a real close late game and Dak throws another couple turnovers. Is it kind of like, yo, without this the defense taking a step back and Dak still turning the ball over? So Cowboys have a big game this week against the Patriots, and there's only 3 games in the 4 o'clock window, so a lot of people will be watching.
Yeah, I will say this too. Like, I can't continuously go to bat for Dak Prescott and defend Dak Prescott and then not be critical of him in when he's not great. This wasn't a great game. But to be somewhat fair to him is like, I don't feel like he's being asked to do a ton right now. So when he was finally asked to do more this game, I think it was kind of a shock to him. I'm not saying he wasn't prepared, but just like, I don't think he thought I'm going to have to come from behind on the Cardinals. You know what I mean? I do think that this defense is still good. It's taken a major hit, but it'll be interesting to see if they're still that dominant defense or if this is just like, no, they're missing too big of a piece.
Yeah, and I would just say, it's before we move on to power rankings, it's still weird having the whole schedule up for last week, and as you just scroll through, your eyes kind of stop on that Miami 70. Like,
it's nuts. It's nuts. Let's try something different this week. And last week's power rankings, we were all over the board. I think we bounce back huge this week. I think we're going to be in. I know you. I know me. I think we're right there.
I know.
You ready?
You know that I know you.
So this is me. I'm writing Jeff down, and I'm writing Brad. You want to? Let's start at 1 because I think that will be the easiest to just kind of go from there.
Yes.
Number 1.
Off of a 2-game win streak. I have the Dolphins. You can't be undefeated and drop a 70 piece and not be listed as, I don't care who you beat. You haven't lost anybody. You drop 70 points. Your average margin of victory is 20 plus. It's got to be the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, we both have the Dolphins 1. And I guarantee we both have the Niners too. They've just looked so complete through these 3 weeks. They've just beaten their opponents. How you expect them to. Christian McCaffrey always finds the end zone. Brock Purdy never loses you the game. And Kyle Shanahan always has the boys prepared. Niners at 2.
Yeah, and they've played 2 of their 3 on the road, so that still matters. Yeah. And they've scored 30 in 3 straight games. 30, 30, 30.
Yep.
Number 3, what you got?
I think we both have the Eagles. They have flaws. They're not what they were last year, but they're just even flawed. They are so good, and they've hit their defensive pieces. They have the offense. Eagles at 3.
I truly think it does not matter who they play in the league. They will have the better offensive and defensive line.
Yeah.
There may be ways to beat them. I do have Eagles at 3. There may be ways to beat them, but nobody this year has shown it yet. So, yeah, I mean, Eagles at 3, the 3 undefeated teams, 1, 2, 3.
I was about to say, those are your 3 undefeated teams. Shouldn't be kind of hard. And in my opinion, I think they're ranked perfectly like that. If you see anybody else ranking them differently, I probably wouldn't kill them. But Dolphins scored 70, and the Niners have been beast, and the Eagles have looked beatable, though they're undefeated. So that's kind of where they're at. 4, I still think we're in line here. Kansas City. You got Buffalo, don't you?
No, I almost put the Eagles at 4 and put the Chiefs over them just because I look. So okay. I do have the Chiefs at 4. But you could argue that if it wasn't for a double agent wide receiver and their two best players outside of Mahomes being out, they should have won their first game as well. I don't think it's a question. They're the best 2-win team, and I still think it's totally in play for the Chiefs to end the regular season with the most wins. Best head coach, best quarterback that combo.
Yeah, you lost me on the last sentence, but yeah, I do think they're a really good team.
Yeah, I think they might still be the best team.
I don't know if they're better than the Dolphins right now, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have this team 5 because just like KC lost week 1, so did the Bills, but they have just been an absolute juggernaut after. Bills at 5.
Yeah, you take the last 3 years, and it's similar to Ohio State. They struggle with Michigan. The Bills just struggle with this Jets defense. They seem to know how to play Josh Allen. But when they play anybody else, they can steamroll a lot of teams. So the Bills are number 5 for me. I think that they're a tremendous team. We all wanted to just kind of give up on them after 1 week. They had a bad performance against the Jets, but that was a fiery night, 9/11, playing for Rodgers after he goes down. Bills at 5.
We are lockstep through 5. I had a feeling we were going to see a lot of this the same. And I think you could be harsher than me. I had the Cowboys at 6.
Cowboys 6.
Okay. All right. We're
on the road.
Lockstep through 6.
We just kind of jumped on them, or we just kind of talked about it. They went into the Cardinals, maybe sleeping a bit, not an excuse, but it happens in the league. They steamroll their first 2 opponents. They come in, find themselves down 14. That's not where Dak's at his best. Couple turnovers. They'll bounce back from this, I think. And the Cardinals, man, they've been in every game they've played this year. So
there's a line now. Agree or disagree? Agree. There is it's almost like a take a breather. All right. This is where we're going to be more.
If every team 1 through 6 lost this weekend, I may still have them all as the top 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's definitely a line.
Seattle.
I have Seahawks.
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, obviously I'm excited because I'm trying to, I think we think the same. But first off, Seattle lost week 1 just like Kansas City, just like Buffalo, and have really outdone themselves these last 2 weeks with big challenges. When I heard Andy Dalton was starting for the Panthers, I literally thought to myself, wow, this is going to be a test. They got tested through the first half and then pulled away. Seahawks are really good, complete team.
Yeah, it was a really tough and ugly. Honestly, Pete Carroll was just out-coached by a divisional opponent in week 1. They had the lead at halftime, came out of half, and the Rams laid it on them. We realized the Rams on their day have an offense still. But again, when you lose to a divisional opponent, I don't take that as harsh because, those games, you play those teams so much. But they've come back, and they've shown their offense is still there from last year. Kenneth Walker looks fully healthy. They have 3 receivers. The only thing this team lacks is a pass rush. But they do have 2 corners, and Jamal Adams makes his debut back to the team. He could help with their run game or their run defense. But the Seahawks are a tough out, and you have to travel really far when you got to go play them most of the time.
8. The only team.
I think this is where we're going to differ.
I don't know. The only team that beat them was Seattle. I got the Lions here at 8.
I have the Lions at 8. And it's because they lost to Seattle. I think that after the top 6, I like these 2 teams in the NFC. I think they match up tremendously well. It is Detroit's only loss. And Detroit has looked really good. Their defense is much improved, even though they lost CGJ. But Jared Goff putting up tremendous numbers without their deep threat. Jahmyr Gibbs is nice. This O-line is a bunch of bullies, dude. So I really like it. And Aiden Hutchinson, tremendous year 2 so far. Tremendous year 2.
Now we're gonna because here. Okay, let me say this. Another small gap.
Okay.
I think there's another small gap here, and I think there's a lot of teams that have kind of a case for 9. I went Ravens.
Ravens did not make my top 12.
And I respect it. But
I do have them written down with one other team to be right outside my top 12. I just the teams that they've beaten mixed with the teams they lost to, I left the Ravens off.
Who did you have at 9?
The number 9, I do have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the
Oh,
reason why I have them there, they do win in a way that not a lot of teams do. I mean, they score just as much on defense as they do on offense. They have the most takeaways. The defense is filthy. They have the best defensive player in the NFL on their team. I'm not afraid to say that. The offense looked better when they didn't play the 49ers or Browns defense. Got a little bit of a deep ball going. But I also put them there because one of their wins is another team on my list, and their only loss is to the 49ers, who are 3-0 and number 2 on my list in the top echelon of teams. So I like the Steelers at number 9, but I kind of had them tied with my number 10 team as well.
So, as far as the Steelers go, I'll give you this. They have been dogs all 3 weeks, and they've won 2 of them outright. Their losses to the Niners. It's the most respectable loss in the league, right? And I had that you guys as a 10-win team, but holy shit, this offense isn't good. And it took a shitty Raiders secondary for you guys to pop off. It's just like, I like you.
Gotta get better.
Yeah, I'm just not there yet. 10, and again, we're kind of all over the place now. I got Green Bay.
So my 9 and 10, I had Steelers, and then I had Browns.
Browns are on the top 12. They're just not there yet. That's
so
fair.
I had I mean, they had an ugly loss to the Steelers because their offense was so poor, or you could say the defense was so good to the Steelers, however you look at it. But the Browns have beat the dog water out of the Bengals, and then they slaughtered the Titans. I know those aren't like teams that are, I mean, they're both 1 and 2, but they really took care of business. And if it wasn't for Deshaun Watson just throwing the game away pretty much, they should be 3-0. And this defense is putting up through 3 weeks historic numbers. So I had to pick 2 AFC teams at 9-10. I went Steelers Browns.
So I have Browns 11.
Well, that's funny. I'll let you go in on the Browns quick, but I had Packers 11. So our Packers.
Okay. So we're right there. The only team so far is literally I have Ravens, you have Steelers. Other than that, 12 is interesting.
Yeah. I think we agree.
It'll be, I don't know. Maybe. Buccaneers.
So, I told you I wrote 2 teams just off my list.
Yeah.
The Bucks and the Ravens were the 2. I have the Falcons at 12.
Yeah, I thought the Bucks had a tough outing with the Eagles. The Eagles are, obviously they're my 3 team. They're your 3 team too. And Mike Evans, I watched this game. Mike Evans, holy hell, he dropped like 3 balls. So they could have won this game.
Here's why I left them off. They did lose to the Eagles, and I thought it could have been a better game.
Mm-hmm.
Their 2 wins are Vikings and Bears.
Yeah.
So that's why I kept them off. They beat 2 0-3 teams, so I gave the Falcons the nod. They lost.
That's fair. Yeah.
They lost to the Lions, who are further ahead on my list, but they beat the Packers, who are further ahead on my list, and they took care of business against the Panthers. But it was just like who your wins and like the Ravens, their wins were Texans, Bengals. So and they lost to the Colts. So mixed with that, I kind of just left them off. But I think the Ravens and Bucks with wins next week go right back into the top 12 potentially. Might be tough though. I don't know if any of the teams, I wonder, a lot of these teams on the top 12 may play each other. Yeah, Ravens play Cleveland, Dolphins play Buffalo. Dallas, no, not a lot actually.
So rather than doing an every team talk this week, let's just go over some spreads. We'll close her out.
Actually, if you give me a second to log into my FanDuel, I do everything early. So I have 16 college games and 16 pro games already bet on for the weekend.
Okay.
I will pull up what I put in. Let me log in quick. Where is my bits? I don't get on the computer often, so let me see where my bad.
Well, while you're thinking,
Oh, I already got it.
or
I'm
pulling
here.
that up, while you're pulling that up. Oh, you got it?
I got it now. Yep.
Okay. Go ahead and lead her off whenever you want.
Thursday night. Shoot. That's the I bet the money line on, but I believe the Packers are underdogs by 1.5 points. I think it's Lions minus 1.5 at Green Bay.
It is. That's what I see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Packers here with the points at home.
Yeah, I took Packers money line at home. They don't get their lineman back, which could be tough, but they get Jair Alexander. It should be Aaron Jones and Christian Wolf both coming back to the offense as well. Because I know they beat the Falcons in that comeback last week, but Jordan Love led the team in rushing with like 36 yards. Can't have that.
Yeah.
Next game is in London. Jags are listed as the home team, but it's Falcons +3 at Jaguars.
So I'm glad this kind of came up because I've been wanting to talk about this. Have you seen what's going on with this game? It is going to be streamed on a multicast. So essentially, or what's it called? A
Streaming
dual
service?
You can watch this game on ESPN Plus, or you can watch it on Disney Plus. And if you watch it on Disney Plus, the game is 100% animated. So very excited to see how that's going to look. I think that is so cool. If you want to reach a younger audience, that's the way to do it. I mean,
you got to wake up early, especially a London game. You got to wake up early with the kids, throw on the little Toy Story game.
Yeah.
You got $75 riding on the line, but they're watching a little dinosaur run at its astronaut.
I mean, truthfully, so like a couple years ago, they did like a playoff game where it was also telecasted on Nickelodeon, and there was like some fake slime and stuff. This has the opportunity to be like the greatest
revolution changer.
Dude, truthfully, like my kids may actually sit down and watch a football game that's animated. Like that's on the table. So excited for
absolutely.
it. But as far as the game, Jags are going to play back-to-back games in London, and you would imagine that week 2 they're going to have a good shot to win, even though it's against Buffalo. Jags are 1-2. You'd think they need a win here, but I really like this Falcons defense. They don't turn it over. They run it. Falcons plus the points feels like the play here.
Yeah, Falcons have a dominant O-line. Falcons have 2 good running backs. Arthur Smith is trying to ask how many wins it takes in London to get knighted. So he clearly wants to do well in London. I think they're a better football team, and you're getting a field goal smash.
Yeah.
This is 3 at the Houston Texans. I don't know what you think about the Houston Texans offensive line, but it's without 4 starters, and it's facing T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and the boys. I just think the rookie quarterback gets a little rattled. I still think this is a low-scoring game, but Steelers cover the 3 points. Give me 24-13 Steelers.
Yeah, no, I like the Steelers to cover. Like it closer than that. Probably like 20-17, maybe.
Sure.
Maybe 21-17.
But we're lockstep Packers, Falcons, Steelers so far.
Yep. Yeah, we like the same teams.
Dolphins +3 at the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I already bet this game. I understand where you would assume that the Dolphins offense isn't going to continue what they've already been doing. I'll have that talk in December. It's still September. I like the Dolphins plus the points here.
I just don't know if you can give a team this good an entire field goal. I thought it would have been Dolphins -3. Both these teams are good, but I mean, you just have to bet the Dolphins here. I don't understand. Tampa Bay Buccaneers +3 at the New Orleans.
What number did you get? What number did you get on the Dolphins Bills?
I got.
Yeah, what?
3.
I also got 3. Yeah, okay. It's 2.5 on ESPN. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, the line was moving, but that's why you get in on it early sometimes, especially if you feel like it'll move. Buccaneers +3 at the Saints.
Buccaneers +3 at the Saints. Tom Brady couldn't beat the Bucs. Couldn't beat the Saints. Jameis Winston couldn't beat the Saints. It would not shock me if Baker Mayfield is just able to beat the Saints. Saints probably without Derek Carr here. This is a stay away from me, honestly. But I like the Saints at home against a team that they just own.
Yeah, Jameis Winston. I know Mike Evans kind of gets erased with Marshawn Lattimore. Or they kind of Marshawn has his number. But Chris Godwin's fully healthy. Baker loves K. Dotton. They have a decent running game. I just like them getting an entire field goal. If it was less than 3 points, I would go Saints. I do think this is a close game. These teams don't blow each other out. Alvin Kamara comes back in this game, but he faces a really tough front seven.
Yep.
Yeah, no Derek Carr. I like the Bucs plus the points. Ravens +2.5 at the Cleveland Browns.
I'm just not ready to buy the Browns as like this juggernaut. The 3-1 Browns, does that sound right to you? Say it out loud.
Well, it does, because I have the Browns -2.5. I think it sucks that they lost Nick Chubb, but I don't think this Ravens defense is scaring anybody, and it's got some injuries. They're out Staley, their best tackle. Lamar Jackson doesn't have OBJ, and Zay Flowers is going to have Denzel Ward on him, following him around. This defense has been kind of historic so far. Zadarius Smith has been the best compliment Myles Garrett has gotten in his entire career, and Myles Garrett's on the top of his game. This is at Cleveland, and they only need to win by a field goal here. The Ravens are coming off of a loss to the Colts. I don't think the Ravens are as good as the Browns, and that seems weird. Right now, if you do not believe in the offense, I think that the Cleveland Browns should be the front runners to win this division. I think Lamar's got to go crazy to win this game. I like the Browns. Actually, this is one of my locks. I told you guys I double the money if I'm really confident. I doubled it on the Browns.
Yeah, I just like the Ravens here. It's just Ravens find a way to win after getting embarrassed by the Colts.
Speaking of the Colts, the Rams -1.5 at the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, Rams came out week 1 and really put it down, and then they've kind of stumbled, but they played the Niners and the Bengals, 2 teams that I had in the conference championship games. So I'm not going to tear them apart for those 2 losses. I still think they moved the ball pretty well. Colts have 2 wins, which is literally crazy to me. There's no way they get a third. Give me the Rams on the road to cover the 1 point.
Yeah, so the Rams play in Cincinnati, fly to LA, then fly back to the Indianapolis Colts. The one thing I noticed about the Rams and my one critique of the Seahawks, I said the Seahawks don't really have a pass rush. Well, the last 2 games, I've seen the Rams' offensive line absolutely get thrown around. Matt Stafford really hasn't had as much time, and this Rams defense is still young. They do make mistakes. I think this is a really interesting game by 2 teams that are doing better than I thought they would. But I like the Colts at home. I just think with Kwity Paye and DeForest Buckner and some of those guys in the front 7, Okereke and Leonard, I think they give this offensive line of the Rams trouble. I like them at home. It's basically a pick. I'm at 1.5 points. I'm going to take the Colts to win this one at home.
Couple of
Minnesota
differs here.
What's that?
So we've differed a couple times here.
Yep. Minnesota Vikings -3.5 at the Panthers.
So if Andy Dalton is starting quarterback, which I think he might be, I actually like the Panthers with the points here.
I think today they announced Bryce Young had his first full practice today and may be in line to start this Sunday. So I think it's
never man back on the Vikings then. This is a stay away for me because both teams are just not great, and I just don't know what the outcome is going to be. But it does feel like the Vikings are the play.
Yeah, another game where the Vikings go into it, and one of the teams are going to have a win coming out. The Panthers defense hasn't really stopped anybody. I think the Vikings are going to score in a majority of their drives. They need to hold on to the football though, too many fumbles. But Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson going to go crazy here. And for the Panthers again, I just think this offense lacks. And although the Vikings aren't great and they've allowed a ton of passing yards, it is a rookie quarterback going against the coach Flowers. Is that his name? No, the coach. He just left the Steelers. He's on the Vikings now. He was on the Patriots.
Brian Flores.
There it is. I drew on a blank there. Flowers.
You're good.
But yeah, him going up against a rookie quarterback, Danielle Hunter, second in the league in sacks. They get pressure on him. I just like the Vikings. This Panthers team is, don't like it.
Yeah.
Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. Commanders are getting 8.5 points.
So I was not ready to buy the Commanders at 2-0. I bet the points last week against the Bills, and that was a horrible play. I think it's a bad play here too. I think the Eagles cover the 8.
Yeah, in division, remember last year the get the little upset win versus the Eagles. I do think this team has a decent O-line. I like their front seven. They match up at least a little well. I still think the Eagles are going to have, success. But I think the Bills' defense is much better than the Eagles' defense as a whole, especially at the back end. This is so weird because I just think 8.5 is too many for a divisional opponent. Right now, I have Commanders plus 8.5. But this is a game I'll probably flip 2 or 3 before kickoff and then just be mad if I lose and be happy if I win. But right now I have Commanders plus 8.5. The Denver Broncos are favored by 3.5 points at the Chicago Bears. Two teams that have both allowed over 100 points this season.
I think the Broncos cover this. Massively embarrassed. They suffered the biggest embarrassment in probably years. A couple of years in the NFL, this is the biggest embarrassing loss. They're going to bounce back in a big way. Hard week of practice, hard coaching. Broncos find a way to win by 4 points.
Yeah, I think that's an easy route to take. Both these teams are bad. I mean, you got to talk yourself into one team here or there. Mm-hmm. But I think this is the game that they just they stop making Fields a pocket passer. I think this is his breakout rushing game. I look for Justin Fields to have maybe 100. I think this Broncos defense is awful. Athleticism, home field. I think the Bears find a way to catch a win. I'm also rooting for that because off the field, I would love to see this Broncos team explode on an away flight from Chicago to Denver. I don't like anything about this team. I think Sean Payton's arrogant. I think Russ is weird. I just hope this Denver Broncos team implodes. So I'd like to see the Bears catch a dub.
0-3 versus 0-3 times 2 is wild in week 4, though.
5 teams at 0-3.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, so the Titans are back at home where their only win took place. The Bengals are favored by 2.5 at the Titans.
I want the Bengals to be back. I want them to be dominating teams, but they just haven't yet. They looked better Monday night than I thought they would. I thought they would compete, but they looked pretty decent, especially in the second half. But this Titans team, I'm not ready to just completely fold them yet. This feels like an outright upset. I could see the Titans winning this game.
Mike Vrabel and that coached well, experienced defense is not going to let Joe Burrow just kind of sit there and throw dink and dunk. They're going to play press, make him stay in the pocket, make him move. I just think this team at home as an underdog coach is one of the best. He's right up there with Mike Tomlin and Pete Carroll as underdog coaches that cover. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick with the Titans at home. Run the ball, keep Burrow off the field. Make him use that cap as much as they can. I like the Titans plus 2.5, and like you said, I think this is a potential upset of the week here. I mean, I know they're both 1 and 2, but still, people seeing the Bengals fall to 1 and 3 would be to a lot of people that predicted them to make the playoffs, I suppose. Next game, Chargers. The Raiders are plus 5.5 going to the Los Angeles Chargers.
I like the Chargers to cover here. I think they can blow the Raiders out.
Yeah, I think this is the game. I think Austin Eckler's back.
Yep.
Keenan Allen is crushing statistically. Everett's a talented tight end. Quentin Johnston is coming in. He's going to get a bigger role as the rookie. Joshua Palmer's a dog. O-line's dominant. Brandon Staley somehow avoided being fired last week. Again, I hate him as a head coach for this team. I think he's ruining Justin Herbert, at least win-loss wise. I could see him making some dumb mistakes, but it's hard to out-dumb Josh McDaniels and a fourth quarter field goal with 2:15 left. So I'll take the Chargers to blowout win here, minus 5.5. Next game, Patriots catching 6.5 going to the Dallas Cowboys. I'll start. I know it's tough on the road. It's a tough defense that Mac Jones is playing. But he's faced difficult front sevens like the Eagles already. And without Trayvon Diggs, I think he's going to have some success passing. I think they'll move the ball a little bit here and there. But I don't think the Cowboys find much success against this Patriots defense. You just talked about Christian Gonzalez playing well. CeeDee Lamb. I mean, even last game against the Cardinals, they took away CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup with 89 yards led the team in receiving. So I think the Patriots take away a lot, force Dak into some turnovers, which I don't think is very hard to do in the NFL. And I look for the Cowboys to potentially maybe drop 2 or win close, just like how the Patriots lose to good teams. I don't think this is a blowout. They go into Jerry's world. They cover 6.5.
I hope. That's all I have. That's all I have. The Cowboys coming off in a quote unquote embarrassing loss. I could see them just putting the pedal down. New England hasn't shown a ton of offensive explosion. All they've shown is some defensive explosion. So they could keep this game close, but I think they'll probably fumble it away in the end. Hard to say if they cover or not, honestly.
I think they do. For me, this was the hardest game of the Arizona Cardinals plus 14 at the San Francisco 49ers.
14's a lot.
It's just a fuck ton of points for a divisional opponent. I don't think there's a single position where I wouldn't rather have the 49ers player than the Cardinals player. Anywhere.
Buda Baker.
The flowy hair dude, I forget his name, Tufalamala or whatever.
Buda Baker would start at strong safety for the Niners. That's it, though. That's it.
Right. We're talking owner, GM, coach, water boy, equipment staff. The 49ers are head and shoulders a better team.
Let me say this.
Why am I betting Cardinals plus 14?
I don't think you should. If there's any team that's equipped to beat down the Cardinals, it is the Niners. I think the Niners are the play here. I could see them winning by 20. Especially because here's the thing. I think they might actually be on upset alert after beating the Cowboys, so the Niners take them seriously and beat them down even harder.
Yeah, and they're seeing all this Josh Dobbs stuff. They're going to wreck him, I think.
Yeah.
All right. I'll put that money back in a minute on the 49ers. Kansas City Chiefs minus 9.5 at the Jets. my survival pick for the week is the. I am in a league that 20 teams to 26 teams I think dropped out. There's only 20 left out of 89 entries through 3 weeks. The Cowboys, Ravens, and Jaguars ruined a lot of people, and I'm sure everybody's leagues. But I think the Chiefs cover the 10. I know that Jeff is hesitant on how good the team is, even though he does have them fourth. He knows they're good. Chiefs schematically. The Jets have 2 good corners. Chiefs don't even use their wide receivers really. It's a lot of running backs out of the backfield and tight end.
Yeah.
And I know I mentioned the best defenses in the NFL. The Chiefs defense has been top 8 this year just about everywhere. They're really fast. Chris Jones is an absolute unit. This offensive line is in shambles, and they got to go up against Chris Jones and company. Zach Wilson is the quarterback. I look for this game to be somewhere around 27-13 Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win by 2 touchdowns, maybe more.
I think the Chiefs win this game, but I don't love the point spread. I think the Jets are actually built to upset the Chiefs. They can play defense and they can run the ball. Those are 2 things that keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, you know? I like the Jets with the points here in a close game, but it would not shock me if they lost by 4 scores.
What are you talking about, 21-14, 7-point game, or 2014, 2017?
Yeah. They just frustrate Mahomes. Maybe Mahomes only gets 20 points, and, you know, that's enough to kind of hold them still.
I just look for Mahomes to say, last time I was in a prime time spot, we lost to the Lions. Not happening. I got my boys coming with me, and they look to make a statement like, hey, you didn't see us the last 2 weeks. You think we just blew out the – there's a reason we can beat teams 41-8. Let's go, Jets.
Listen,
mop them up.
Let's not do the fans a disservice here. Is Taylor Swift at MetLife?
She sings the national anthem for the game. That'd be wild, huh?
That'd be so wild.
Oh, Sunday Night Football. Instead of Carrie Underwood on the TV, Taylor Swift comes out.
Remix. Speaking of,
we need Carrie. We need Carrie there.
Speaking of Carrie, I would imagine. First off, here's some trivia. First person to ever sing the Sunday Night Football theme. Do you know who it is?
No.
Pink. Second person after Pink gave it up.
Blue.
Who?
Blue.
Faith Hill.
I remember Faith.
You do remember her?
I do remember Faith.
And that's not even a shot, because literally Carrie's been doing it, I think they said 10 years now. I think that was okay. I don't know if you heard. She just attended her first ever Sunday Night Football game.
She sucks.
Steelers Raiders.
She's an idiot. I don't want her singing anymore if she ain't even going to the fucking games. That honestly pissed me off.
First ever game in 10 years, dude.
Oh, I'll give you another little trivia stat then, since she went to her first big game. Taylor Swift, her first ever of a crowd over 50,000 was in 2006 when she sang the national anthem for the Steelers at Heinz Field.
That's a cool little nugget.
It was her first solo performance. She had her, her little guitar. She got out there. It was like 2006, I think, or something like that. She was real young too. I don't even know, she hadn't even, I don't know what her status was at the time, but I believe I saw it was her first crowd over a certain number. It might not be 50,000, but whatever that number was.
Yeah. Now she sells out Heinz Field with more fans than the Steelers can, and that's not even a shot. You want to hear the funniest shit? I know we've kind of got wrapped up here. Will Compton, Bustin' with the Boys. I bring their podcast. I'm a big fan. His stupid ass. He said that Taylor Swift's audience grew by being introduced to the NFL. And literally everybody else on the bus is like, Will, are you serious? He's like, what? Do you know how many Instagram followers the NFL has? Just take a guess. I don't know if you know. Do you have a guess? It's 27 million Instagram followers on the NFL. How many do you think Taylor Swift has? It's 270 million. 10 times the amount.
Did
And
you
he's
see like
"Wait,
all this?
what?"
Do you see this? Do you see the stuff on Travis Kelce?
400% jersey sale spike.
He got like I think he got 340 some thousand followers on Instagram and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just insane. We got
Why
one
do we
more football
care?
game. Yeah,
One more
people were
football
probably
game. Now
shocked how
Taylor
that wasn't a
Swift.
topic too, that we weren't talking about Taylor Swift.
We failed. We got her in. We got her in the pod.
We didn't fail. We just made you wait. Stick around to the end.
Listen,
This was a
is
test.
Taylor.
If you heard us talking about Taylor Swift and we see somebody comment on our post, how come you guys never talked about Taylor? That listen to the topics and then left before the rankings and didn't stick around. Real fans know we talked about T Swift.
If Taylor Swift would have been with us in the Real Talk days, maybe she'd have made the opening segment. Just saying. She just recently started listening to the pod, and we respect that. I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
That's right. Like, we were there the whole time, dude.
Yeah.
We were there the whole time.
The whole time.
We're supposed to, forget it. Anyway, game Monday night. Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks +1.5 traveling to MetLife Stadium, who will host the Sunday night game and the Monday night game, MetLife Stadium, where Brian Daboll and the New York Giants are favored by 1.5 points.
This feels way too easy. Better team with points. I know Seattle's going from west to east coast. It don't matter. I love Seattle here.
So I will push back a little bit. Seattle is traveling from west to east coast. By the way, I bet Seattle. I'm just saying. Devil's advocate
I was about to be like, whoa.
Just devil's advocate here. They are traveling from west coast to east coast. They're playing a desperate Giants team that needs wins. The one weakness of the offense or of the team is quarterback play and offensive line. The Seahawks don't really have a pass rush. So if Daniel Jones finds time, if Saquon plays, they can run the ball. I think they can make it interesting. But I don't think that it's interesting enough that before the game I would put my money on them to win. The Giants -1.5 is +100. It's basically a pick 'em. I wonder going to play if the line will move, but better team catching points. Why not?
Yep.
Better not lose that bet. I switched over to the 49ers. Oh, dude, no way. I'm looking at FanDuel and they do some fun stuff and it says Pop Stars, Chiefs at Jets game. And like holy crap. We gotta go over this live. One says seemingly ranch, Travis Kelce last touchdown score. These are like Taylor Swift stuff. So opening act, Travis Kelce to score the first touchdown. Running away together, Chiefs to have 150 plus rushing yards. Seeing red, Chiefs to win by 22. Top of the charts, Travis Kelce to have the most receiving yards in the game. And the best one, friend zone, Travis Kelce to not score a touchdown. It's lowercase FRI and then uppercase end zone. Travis Kelce to not score a touchdown. Kelce to not score a touchdown is +130. And then the long shot odds is Travis Kelce to score the last touchdown is +650. But that's just funny that they literally have. Oh, there's 3 more, but I don't even think.
Everybody's leaning into the Taylor Swift thing, and honestly, they should.
Gotta read the last 3 since I saw there was 3 more.
Yeah.
Plot twist. Zach Wilson to have 300 plus passing yards.
No chance.
Plus 1,400. Platinum performance. Kelce to have 3 or more touchdowns. Plus 2,600. And the longest 3,400, which I might take. X's and O's. And the X's is EXES. X's and O's. New York Jets to score 0 total points. Plus 3,400. $10 to win 340. Or one to win 34. One to win 34. All right. So if you guys logged off before I got through all those, I get it. Hi guys.
We gave you the picks. We gave you the takes.
Come on.
It's late on a Wednesday night. It's what we do. We bring you the topics and football. And football's here, and it's great. And your team's winning, and my team's losing. It is what it is. Anything else?
I got nothing.
We're out of here. This podcast was brought to you by Twisted Tea. Not really, but it should be.
Gosh, where you at?
Gosh. Well, I know you're not here. That's fine. Neither are we. We're out.